Nigeria's
Yeah.
former top-ranked tennis player, Prof. Sadiq Abubakar, has expressed concerns about the country's inadequate preparation for the upcoming Paris 2024 Olympics, with only 1 year remaining until the Games commence on July 26th and conclude on August 11th. Abubakar, who competed in the 1988 Olympics in Seoul, South Korea, emphasized that Nigeria's delayed preparations could hinder the country's chances of being a serious contender for medals in Paris. He pointed out that while some nations commenced their preparations immediately after the conclusion of the previous Olympics in Japan, Nigeria seems to lack the same level of commitment and organization. He expressed disappointment that after each Olympics, attention tends to wane until a few months before the next Games, rather than sustaining a consistent and structured approach. Abubakar placed the responsibility on national sports federations, emphasizing the need for them to identify elite athletes early on and commence preparations accordingly. He praised athletics as the only federation currently ready for the Games, as they have been actively participating in local and international competitions. However, he pointed out that other federations, such as boxing, have not adequately prepared their athletes, citing poor management and lack of support from the Ministry of Sports. To your point, we cannot depend on an organization, a federation, an association of some sort to carry us over the line. Maybe there isn't enough resources at government level, at administrative level, to funnel into every single sport. I think every Nigerian can understand that. We have to pick and choose what we want to fully commit to. And maybe if we do well in these games, in these sports, then the next time around, we have built up a reputation, we have accumulated a bit more money, and then we can go again and spread some of that money, spread the love, and bring more and more federations along for the ride. The Olympics is the very biggest sporting event in the world. It combines every single sport that you can think of. Some are still in the process of trying to break into it, trying to qualify for recognition as an Olympic sport. However, it is so all-encompassing that almost any sport is welcome. If you throw eggs at walls in Asia, you can probably get the Olympic Committee to recognize it as a sport and bring it into the community. So if we cannot depend on federations, this reminds me of the kind of meager resources we tend to see in a lot of these sporting movies about rags to riches, a small group of effectively outsiders who take up sports as their ladder to opportunities, and they do more with what they have than people who have it all. Is that the approach that we need to take now? Do we need to take a more grassroots, by any means necessary, individuals, coaches, scouts, taking up responsibilities to harness the very best talents out of our athletes at a very base level, given that there isn't enough wealth to go around?
My point, and to answer your question, I will ask a series of questions first. Every national team, no, every federation in the world have different sports. They have football, they have the basketball, cricket, volleyball, and the rest of it. Every country has it, right? Now, let's start mentioning powerhouses in the world. When you mention the United States of America, which sport comes to your mind?
I mean, they have a few. Are you talking
But
about
the
the
top
Olympics
most that America
specifically?
is known for.
Are you talking about the Olympics specifically?
No, not Olympics. Just like when you mention America.
All right. Let's say I would say maybe basketball.
Exactly, the NBA. But there's the USMNT, which is the football team. There is the women's team. They have a cricket team. They have a volleyball team. but they are known for the NBA. Some will say they are known for NFL, the American soccer. The same thing with Brazil. Brazil has basketball, Brazil has everything, but you mentioned Brazil Federation, they are known for football. If you go to India, you mention South Africa, they are known for cricket. But South Africa has a football team, India has a football team, they have all these things. But all these countries are known for something. Mention Nigeria, we are not known for anything. We just want to do everything. We just want to try and be part. We just want to participate. But we are really not known for anything, right? And that's the problem. We need to dig into our identity. It still falls back to the individual nature of what Nigeria is, right? And if you ask me, of course, I think football is our best sport. We don't have any other thing that I do that. Probably wrestling. Yes, I think Nigeria is good in wrestling. We usually get gold and silver like that in almost all championships, even at the Olympics. Country comes to mind when it comes to table tennis for Nigeria. But more often than not, the focus is either on wrestling, athletics, like Toby Amusa has put us in the world map, or football. And we need to channel our resources to make those focal points our identity. Once we can do that, the attention we get, the coefficient, using the words of UEFA, the coefficient we get will trickle down to other sports. We may not now be winning competitions in volleyball, winning competitions in basketball and other things, but the federations themselves will not have issues. We won't be having issues of not paying salaries. We won't be having issues of, because the identity that is Nigeria would work for us.
Unfortunately,
at the moment, every state of sport is suffering.
Unfortunately,
in fact, basketball didn't make it last season. Remember, in 2022, they pulled out of.
But Gbenga, unfortunately, almost every single federation across almost every single sport in Nigeria depends on the purse that the federal government has to supply resources. So, if I take your point now, should we be looking, or before I go to that, I guess I should ask this question. Are there so many federations now, so too many sports dependent on the coffers of the government that we're spread too thin and we cannot realize the best in what we want to do across all these sports?
So why do you think the likes of USA, Mexico, and all those people play the She Believes Cup? Why do you think some of these countries play? Okay, why was the Finalissima created between the winners of the Euros and the winners of the CONMEBOL, right? All these things are because those countries understand what makes them tick. Those confederations understand what makes them tick, and they continue to fester on it. They almost did it for club football. That's why they got in the Super League, because they understood that big teams in the top 5 leagues in Europe can drag more attention to TV rights and broadcasting, which was the whole point of the Super League. More money, right? They understand their strength and they go towards it. But for Nigeria, we still don't know what we are strong at. I feel we should know, because athletics, we have one or two. Ezebrume, Kogli Amuson. Wrestling, we have a lot, both for the men's category and the women's category. There's the name of those on wheelchair. There's a particular, we also have successes in that as well. So if there is a way we can get world FIFA licensed or whatever federation licenses them in those particular federations, in wrestling, in athletics, and in football. Let's not have politicians at those. We can have politicians everywhere else, but those parts that are our strength, let's have experts there, so that those are the sports that would project us to the limelight and to trickle down to other federations.
Okay.
We cannot carry everything.
All right. The Olympics happens every 4 years. It's enough time to prepare for the next round. As soon as one Olympic event ends, it gives you 4 years countdown to prepare yourself for the next one. Talk to me about why, in this day and age, even if it's in football, if it's in tennis, if it's in even if it's to do with the Paralympics, where we tend to thrive.
Exactly. That was what I was trying to
How
know.
is it that till this day we don't have the foresight to prepare ahead of time, using every single day of the 4-year period that we have to scout talent, to recruit talent, to prepare talent, and then to go ahead and qualify for those events that we intend to participate in for the Olympics?
I think if you can answer the question of why did FIFA change from paying national teams to begin to pay individual players,
I see.
if you can understand the reason to the change of that decision, then you understand why I think Nigeria would thrive if they channel their focus. Because see, at the end of the day, preparation comes in different aspects. We all went to school. There are some people that before exam they started preparing from the first week of class. So every day, every class period, they jot down, they get this, they do the assignments, they follow up with the teacher. There are some people that they don't have notes. They only come to class to look at the teacher and listen. When it's 2 weeks, 1 week to exam, they now go and gather all gather get people that have notes. They don't have their own notes, but they'll get people that have notes. They've listened all through, but it's now time to revise and remind themselves of some things. There are also some people, they are in class, they listen, they have notes, but they don't jot. They only write when the teacher dictates something or writes on the board. They don't jot on the sidelines. I have some friends that, if you see their different jotters, papers, and everything, how do you read and understand this? Just read it like that. That's how I understand it. I think that would apply in our sport. There are strategies to these things, right? Everybody doesn't have to go to the sports ministry, but everybody is a child of the sports ministry. So the sports ministry has to understand scale of preference and know where do we direct our focus on and how do other people see. There's nothing wrong with collaboration. I sincerely think there's nothing wrong with collaboration. If the Super Falcons of Nigeria and the Super Eagles of Nigeria are put in one bracket and not different brackets, I'm not saying they're under the same federation, but in one bracket, to the part that one facet of the ministry focuses on both. So that as Super Eagles are having brand whatever, which also affects the Super Falcons like a ripple effect. It's not that only Super Eagles are enjoying, Super Falcons are suffering.
Well,
the same thing with basketball. The Tigers, the Tigress. But that way, I think we can move forward.
When it comes to every other sports, in individual sports and federations, they thrive on getting private backing from companies. When you look at sports like, I don't know, especially in car racing, bike racing, you see their gear, you see their jerseys, you see what they wear. It is littered with sponsorships from different companies. Might it be time, especially for countries in Africa, in Southeast Asia, countries with less resources, for the government to funnel into the preparation? Might it be time for athletes themselves to be allowed to get recruit sponsorship for themselves individually or as a group, so that when they go abroad, to participate in these competitions, they're not just representing Nigeria, they're representing the essence of the private sector in Nigeria, representing the economic prowess of private companies who are invested in seeing these athletes do well. And maybe they don't have to have logos on their jerseys, but in the process of preparing, they can have a bunch of promo situations that pays homage to their sponsors, and maybe that will contribute significantly to helping our athletes prepare going forward. That is just one solution I consider, but the IOC currently do not have any such model in place.
Yeah, so for that, I think that may work only for the individual sport. I sincerely don't see how a collective sport like football or basketball, the Team Tigress are playing, then Chidom, who just retired from the Team Tigress, is having like 5 different sponsors. Then our teammate, who is a guard, is having only one sponsor. Then the defense is having it won't make sense. But it can make sense for individual sport. It can make sense if Toby Amuson has our own sponsors on our jersey. The short put person has his, and then that like that. But for football, I think there's nothing bad in the association getting a collective sponsorship. And there's also nothing bad in sponsoring yourself. We saw it with Chelsea. They just released their new kit and they didn't have any single sponsor on the jersey. And if you go back in time, a certain club called FC Barcelona, before recent times, never had sponsors on their jersey. From inception, they never had a single, it was just the Blaugrana colors, and that was it. So, different strokes for different folks. As a collective team, get your sponsorship. As a federation, get your sponsorship. But be open to collaboration.
Yeah. All right.
Be open to collaboration because there is unity in diversity. That's what I was.
All right. We'll discuss this for many moons, many days, many weeks, and maybe even many years, because it's a lot to work on, and we're not sure yet whether any administration or any impending administration has any significant plans for boosting our productivity, our output, our successes within sports at an international level.